Picture this. You are out of town, your spouse is home, and a pipe bursts in the basement. Water is pouring everywhere, and they have no idea where to shut it off. Every single minute that goes by, the damage gets worse. After over 25 years in plumbing, I can tell you this exact scenario plays out more often than anyone wants to admit. Today, I'm walking you through 10 things every homeowner and every member of their household needs to know about the main water shutoff valve. Stick around for number 8, because most people have never even thought about it. And the bonus tip at the end could save you from a disaster even after you turn the water off. The first thing on this list, and honestly, the most important, is to know where your main water shutoff valve actually is. That sounds so basic, it almost feels insulting. But here is the reality. I have walked into homes where people have lived for 15 or 20 years, and they could not point me to their main shutoff if their life depended on it. And in a water emergency, it kind of does. The main shutoff valve is the single point where you can stop all water flowing into your entire house. In most homes, it is located in one of a few common spots. If you have a basement, check the front foundation wall, usually on the side of the house that faces the street. The water line typically enters through that wall, and the valve will be right there near where the pipe comes in. If you are on a slab foundation, look in the garage, a utility closet, or near the water heater. In warmer climates like the South or Southwest, the valve might actually be outside, mounted on an exterior wall or in a box near ground level. If you are on a well system, the shutoff is usually right at the pressure tank. Here is what I want you to do today, not tomorrow today. Walk to your main shutoff valve, put your eyes on it, and make sure you know exactly where it is. If you have never touched it before, just look at it. We will talk about testing it in a minute. But step 1 is simply knowing its location, because when water is spraying across your basement floor, that is not the time to start a scavenger hunt. The second thing you need to understand is that a burst pipe can dump hundreds of gallons per hour into your home. People hear the phrase burst pipe, and they picture a little spray of water. That is not what happens. A half-inch supply line under normal municipal pressure can push out around 200 to 400 gallons per hour. A 3/4-inch main line can do even more. Think about that for a second. If a pipe lets go while everyone is asleep, by morning you could have thousands of gallons of water sitting in your house. I have personally walked into homes where the water was 6 inches deep on the main floor because a fitting failed overnight and nobody knew how to shut it off. The damage in those situations is not just a wet floor. You are talking about destroyed drywall, buckled hardwood, ruined furniture, soaked insulation, and the beginning of a mold problem that will haunt you for months. Frozen pipes are the most common cause of this, especially in northern states where a cold snap can catch people off guard. But it also happens from old corroded fittings, water hammer over time, or even a failed washing machine hose. The point is, when it happens fast, and the only thing standing between you and catastrophic damage is someone in that house knowing exactly where to go and what to turn. The third thing to really let sink in is that every minute counts during a leak emergency. This is not an exaggeration. Water damage professionals estimate that the severity of damage roughly doubles for every hour a leak goes unchecked. In the first few minutes, you are dealing with wet carpet and maybe some surface water. After an hour, water has wicked up into drywall, soaked into subfloor seams, and started pooling in areas you cannot even see. After 3 or 4 hours, you have got structural concerns. The subfloor is swelling, drywall is crumbling from the bottom up, and any finished basement is essentially destroyed. By the time you hit the 8 to 12 hour mark, You are looking at a full remediation job. Mold can begin forming in as little as 24 to 48 hours in warm, damp conditions. Every one of those minutes between when the leak starts and when someone shuts off that valve is costing you money, property, and potentially the health of your family from mold exposure down the road. Speed is everything, and speed depends entirely on whether someone in the house knows what to do. Quick thing before we move on. I have spent 35 years learning these fixes the hard way, and I put the best of what I know into a book called 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes. 122 pages of step-by-step repairs with 17 diagrams that can save you thousands. Scan the QR code on screen or hit the link in the description if you want the full guide. Now, back to the fix. The fourth thing most people underestimate is that water damage destroys far more than you think. When I tell homeowners what a major uncontrolled leak actually does to a house, they are usually shocked. They picture mopping up some water and running a fan. That is the best case scenario for a leak that gets caught in the first couple of minutes. A leak that runs for hours does damage on multiple levels, literally. Water moves downhill and sideways. It follows gravity, seeps into seams, wicks up through porous materials, and finds its way into every crack and crevice. Drywall acts like a sponge from the bottom up. Once it wicks more than a few inches, that drywall is done. It has to be cut out and replaced. Hardwood floors will cup and buckle. Laminate will swell at the seams and delaminate. Carpet padding holds water like a reservoir and becomes a mold incubator. But the hidden damage is what really gets expensive. Water that reaches wall cavities soaks into insulation and wooden framing. If that moisture is not dried out quickly and thoroughly, you are looking at wood rot and structural compromise. Electrical outlets and wiring in affected walls become safety hazards. Personal belongings, family photos, documents, and electronics sitting on the floor or in lower cabinets are gone. I have seen single incidents where the total damage exceeded $50,000, all because nobody in the house knew how to stop the water. The fifth thing that catches people completely off guard is that insurance may not cover what you expect. Most standard homeowner policies do cover sudden and accidental water damage, like a pipe that burst without warning. But here is where it gets tricky. If the insurance adjuster determines that the damage was caused by a lack of maintenance, or that the leak was something that built up over time and you ignored it, your claim can be denied. A corroded valve you never tested, a slow drip you never addressed, or a water heater that was past its service life are all things adjusters look for. Even when a claim is approved, there is usually a deductible, and the payout often does not cover the full cost of remediation and repairs. Mold remediation alone can run anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 or more depending on how far it is spread. And some policies specifically exclude mold unless you have purchased a separate rider. Here is the real kicker. If it comes out that the damage could have been significantly reduced by simply shutting off the main valve and nobody in the household knew how to do that, it does not help your case. Insurance companies look at mitigation. They expect you to take reasonable steps to minimize damage once a problem starts. Not knowing where your shutoff is does not count as a reasonable step. The sixth thing on this list, and really the heart of this whole video, is to teach every family member, including teenagers, where the shutoff is and how to use it. Here's the scenario that keeps playing out. Dad knows where the valve is. Maybe Mom does too. But the kids have no idea. So when the pipe bursts while the parents are at work or out of town and the 16-year-old is home, that teenager panics, calls Mom or Dad, and then spends 10 minutes on the phone trying to follow frantic directions to find a valve they have never seen before. Meanwhile, hundreds of gallons of water are flooding the house. This is completely preventable. Walk every person in your household who is old enough to turn a valve to the main shutoff. Show them exactly where it is. Let them see what it looks like. Explain which direction to turn it. For a gate valve, that is clockwise, righty-tighty. For a ball valve, the handle turns a quarter turn, so it is perpendicular to the pipe. Let them actually touch it, so it is real to them, not just an abstract concept. If you have elderly parents living with you, or if you have a pet sitter or house sitter who stays when you travel, show them too. It takes 2 minutes to show someone where the valve is. It takes 2 months to recover from a flood that nobody could stop. The seventh thing you need to be aware of is that the valve itself might not work when you need it. This is one of those things that experienced plumbers know, and most homeowners never think about. If your home has an older gate valve as the main shutoff, and that valve has not been operated in years, there is a very real chance it is seized. Gate valves are notorious for this. The internal gate corrodes over time, mineral deposits build up, and the stem essentially freezes in place. You go to turn it during an emergency, and it will not budge. Or worse, the handle breaks off in your hand. I recommend testing your main shutoff valve at least once a year. Turn it all the way off, verify that the water stops flowing inside the house by opening a faucet, then turn it back on. If it is stiff, do not force it. A little penetrating oil on the stem and gentle back and forth movement can help free it up. If it will not close fully, or if it leaks from the stem when you operate it, that is your sign to have it replaced before an emergency forces the issue. If you get the chance to replace a gate valve, upgrade to a ball valve. Ball valves are far more reliable. They use a quarter-turn operation, they rarely seize, and they give you a full positive shutoff. It is one of the best $50 to $150 upgrades you can make to your home's plumbing. The eighth item on this list, and one most people overlook entirely, is knowing your secondary shutoffs too. Your main valve kills all water to the entire house, and sometimes that is exactly what you need. But many leaks and failures are localized, and if you know where the individual shutoff valves are, you can isolate the problem without cutting water to everything. Every toilet should have a shutoff valve on the wall or floor right behind it. Every sink should have 2 shutoff valves underneath, one for hot and one for cold. Your washing machine should have dedicated valves behind or above it, sometimes in a recessed box in the wall. Your water heater has a shutoff on the cold water inlet at the top. Dishwashers typically have a valve under the adjacent sink. If a toilet supply line bursts, you do not need to shut off the whole house. Just reach behind the toilet and close that valve. Same thing with a kitchen faucet supply line or a washing machine hose. Knowing these secondary points of control gives you faster response for localized problems and keeps water running to the rest of the house while you deal with the issue. Take 15 minutes this weekend and locate every individual shutoff valve in your home. Open the cabinet under each sink, look behind each toilet, check behind the washing machine. Make a mental map or even a written one. The ninth item on this list is a simple but powerful step. Label the valve and keep a simple emergency plan. You might know exactly where the main shutoff is. You might have shown your family once. But in a high-stress moment with water spraying everywhere, people forget. Panic erases memory. So make it foolproof. Go to the hardware store, pick up a bright-colored tag or even a piece of heavy-duty tape, and mark that valve clearly. Write main water shut off with an arrow pointing to the valve. If it is in a dark corner of the basement, put a tag on it that is visible and obvious. Beyond labeling the valve, consider keeping a simple laminated card posted in a visible spot, maybe inside a utility closet door, on the inside of a kitchen cabinet, or on the wall near the water heater. That card should say where the main shutoff is, which direction to turn it, and a reminder to open a faucet afterward to confirm the water stopped. It should also include the phone number for your plumber and your insurance company. This is not overthinking it. This is the kind of thing emergency preparedness experts recommend for every household system, and your plumbing is no different. A $5 tag and a laminated card could save you from a 5-figure disaster. The 10th and final item on this list is knowing what to do immediately after you shut the water off. A lot of people manage to get the valve closed and then just stand there staring at the mess. The valve is off, but the emergency is not over. Here is what you should do in order. First, open several faucets in the house to drain the remaining water from the lines. This relieves pressure and stops residual flow at the breakpoint. Second, if there is standing water near any electrical outlets, switches, or your electrical panel, do not step in it. Go to your breaker box and kill power to the affected areas or the whole house if you are not sure which circuits are involved. Water and electricity are a lethal combination, and this is not the time to take chances. Third, start removing as much standing water as you can. A wet-dry vacuum is the fastest tool for this. If you do not have one, towels, mops, and buckets work, but get the water moving out as fast as possible. Fourth, get air circulation going. Open windows if weather permits. Turn on fans, and if you have a dehumidifier, get it running in the affected area immediately. The goal is to start drying things out before mold gets a foothold. Fifth, document everything with photos and video before you start cleaning up. Your insurance company will want to see the extent of the damage. Take wide shots and close-ups of every affected area, and do it before you move furniture or pull up flooring. Then call your insurance company and a water damage restoration company. The faster professionals get involved, the more of your home and belongings can be saved. All right, here's the bonus tip that pros actually use and almost nobody talks about. If your main shutoff valve is inside the house and it fails, or you cannot get to it, for any reason, there is a second option. Every home connected to a municipal water supply has a meter shutoff at the street, usually in a concrete or plastic box set into the ground near the curb. Inside that box is a valve that controls water flow before it even reaches your house. You can shut that off, and it kills everything. The catch is you typically need a meter key to operate it, which is a simple T-shaped tool that costs about $10 to $15 at any hardware store. Buy one. Keep it somewhere accessible like your garage or near your front door, and make sure your family knows it exists and where it is. In a true emergency, where the inside valve is stuck or inaccessible, that street-side meter valve is your last line of defense. Some municipalities technically prefer that only utility workers operate that valve, but in a flooding emergency, stopping the water is the priority. Having that meter key on hand has saved more than a few homeowners I have worked with from catastrophic damage. That wraps it up. If this was useful, you will love the full book. 50 step-by-step plumbing fixes with diagrams, all in one guide. Link is below. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next video. Thanks for watching.